Hello and welcome to your latest instalment of Fools Rush In STFC podcast. As you can see, we have got a massive panel to discuss the weekend's win and the upcoming playoff campaign. Let's start with the introductions and say hello to the regulars first of all. Hello, Ned.
Howdy, you all right?
Very well, thank you, sir. Hello, Rich.
Hi, you all right?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Evening, Woody.
Evening, I'm all good, you good?
Yeah, I am very good, thank you. BTB, how are you, Ben?
Evening, Steve. I'm very well, thank you.
Been touting yourself out to everybody again this week, I noticed.
Yeah, D3, D4 podcast this morning, as well as the BBC, and now this show. Brilliant.
You even and also turning up on other Swindon Town content as well, I noticed over the last 24, 48 hours.
Yeah, I've been doing that. Yeah, Tom Broadbent Lounge as well. I did the other day as well.
Full respect to them, lads. It's always great value entertainment. Craig, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, evening all good, thanks.
And one of the rare occasions where Warren's able to turn up as well. How are you, pal?
Shut up, Fifey. Evening, chaps.
And for the eagle-eyed viewers watching this, you will spot a face that a lot of you appreciated when he came on a few weeks ago. Liam is back with us. How are you, pal?
Honestly, fuming, mate. Can we tell people what's just happened? How we've been in here for half an hour and I thought we were already recording. Like, I've been so nice. I've been talking about also how you guys are going to do great in the playoffs. I don't mean none of it. Like, you guys are going to screw it right up. But I was, I'll do it for your fans. And,
how's everything over at Lower League Look going?
Yeah, really well. We've kind of gone down a bit of a route defending Scunthorpe and Oldham.
That won't go down well. Not on this one. That won't go down well.
Well, do you know what? I get like rivalries in terms of what goes on the pitch and stuff, but off the pitch, the Scunthorpe situation, what we found was it looks like they're being asset stripped from the inside out, and no one was talking about it. So we did this episode and we put it out at midnight, and at 10 o'clock the next morning, the CEO resigned. And then
we were done with you a year ago, mate. Honestly.
Well, then we got this thing. Is the
Where
episode
were you
was
when we were
very
shit?
damning. Yeah, it was very, very in detail about things he's done, and then we've been contacted by a director or a former director of the club who said that our podcast basically did the rounds by 8 a.m. the next morning. Nice. No doubt he was going to resign anyway, but it just timed perfect. So we like instantly. I'm choking here, guys. Getting choked up. It's so overwhelming. We became sort of overnight celebrities within Scunthorpe, which is, weird because Scunthorpe don't really have any celebrities, so anything to talk nice about. But yeah, no, do you know what? It's a shame. Both of them dropped out of the league, but it's fine. You guys are going out of this league as well this season, aren't you? Leaves us. We can just dominate next year.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us again. I've got nothing but positive feedback last time you're on, so I'm looking forward to more nuggets of wisdom coming for you. There's one more gentleman on the screen that I've not said hello to, and it's a young man making his debut at Fools Rush In. Most of you will know him better for his Twitter account, Parody Clem Morfuni. Good evening, Mark Davies. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Fife. I'm very well, thank you very much, and absolute pleasure to meet you all and to be on the cast this evening.
It's interesting timing actually, because again on the Sir Tom Broadbent the other day they were saying about people meeting other people and how you get used to Twitter accounts and display pictures and that, and then when you logged on I said it's nice to actually put a face to the name and prove you're a real person.
Yeah, exactly. Because I actually met Hannah's just a few weeks ago, so before the Forest Green game. And again, it was that same kind of thing, because obviously when you hear people on the podcast or whatever, it's just like, well, you've already got the relationship as a listener there, but actually meeting somebody face to face and them getting to meet you and hear you for the first time, rather than through the power of typing fast. Completely different world, but very, very grateful that you've had me on this evening. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure to have you on. And don't worry, you milk this opportunity for everything it's worth. Rich in the last couple of weeks had selfies with just about every single Swindon Town supporter because of the level of fame that this podcast has given him. So, so you take
I would do the same.
I think it's his bank account personally, but
money goes to money.
Yeah.
Let's get straight.
not after your place charged me 400 quid for 4 new tyres, mate.
Oh, nothing. Didn't ask for me.
I did. Yeah, you're on a stag call.
Stop putting
Why
your
you got
complaints
charged
in about
400?
your tyres. We've got things to talk about. Let's go straight into Saturday if we can. And Woody, I'll come to you first, actually, and talk about even before kickoff, because you were the first one in the WhatsApp group. You were up there very early, posting pictures, and just how was the whole atmosphere before even getting to the ground?
Yeah, I mean, I left early because I was worried about the M6 closure. But then I actually went through West Brom, which I think is actually probably quicker than going the M6 anyway. But yeah, I mean, me and my mate Steve, we got there probably about 10:30. We decided to sit in the in the hotel for a bit, and it seemed that there were some Swindon fans that had stayed over the night before as well. And then slowly, I mean, they didn't actually start serving beer till 11 o'clock. So me and Steve are sat there with our coffee. And slowly it just started to fill up with Swindon fans, which was awesome. And then I think almost train by train. I mean, Rich sent round pictures of videos of what the train station was like, but it just seemed like train by train by train by train. It just kept filling up, and we just kept adding and adding. Yeah. So yeah, probably in terms of atmosphere, both in and outside the ground, probably the best leading up to a game that I've seen for a long time. I was almost a bit jealous of those that were in the train station, beforehand, because the atmosphere there was really good as well. But no, it was class. And I think I echo the sentiments of what people have said on other podcasts since, that kind of build up must have had such a positive effect on the players as well, just to see all of that as they're arriving. There was comfortably, when the team coach arrived, there was comfortably 1,000 fans already there. So it was it was just amazing, wasn't it? I'll let the other lads talk about the atmosphere as well, but it was just a really special occasion. And when you think of the second half, in my opinion, was a bit slow in terms of the way we played, but the atmosphere the atmosphere was just brilliant still, and the atmosphere had a massive play on Saturday. There's no question about that.
Well, Rich, Woody mentioned both the footage you were sending us and what you were putting via your social media. Talk us through what it was like, sort of the train journey and stuff up there, because it just looked like going back sort of 10 years and what it used to kind of be like.
Yeah, no. So I only got on the train when we actually got to Birmingham. So we drove to Birmingham because we were staying over. Me and a few mates were having a night out in Birmingham. But yeah, literally as soon as we got there, everybody literally just started singing and everything like that. It was amazing. It was I've never heard it so loud before ever. It was absolutely incredible, absolutely insane. And then obviously when we got there, there were so many people getting off the train. There must have been, well, like Woody's, comfortably over 1,000 people just coming off the train. It was brilliant.
And Ben, from your perspective, you were up there as well in Walsall. What did you make of the pre-game?
I know it was brilliant, was it? Obviously, one coming from a different direction, Stratford-upon-Avon, but I took I took my son, oldest Jack, with me, and we went via train, and we turned up Birmingham New Street, and we turned up just outside, and the pubs were pouring out with Swindon, all having a bit of a sing-song. It had a bit of a playoff feel to it already, like we were actually in the playoffs, which essentially we have over the last 4 games, because the last 4 games have all been must-wins for us. But yeah, it was rammed, it was heaving, it was bouncing, loved it, and turning up in the pub beforehand, and it just felt really good, and it felt like we were on it and we were going to give them a spanking. I was completely confident that we'd win.
What's it like to be completely confident about winning, by the way, guys? Like, what's that like?
It's good.
Yeah.
Everyone's in a good mood. Everyone.
Trying to preempt it for next season.
Everyone's having a good old sing-song and everything. And yeah, it's good.
So wait, fans aren't fighting each other?
No, everyone's all together having a sing-song, but they're all meeting people.
Well, hang on.
And to add that Jordan Lydon came into the park in as well, when because that was when you got there as well, wasn't it, Ben?
Yeah, that's Jordan Lydon was in front of us.
And he Q jumped as well. I thought Ben was going to knock him out. But even small things, I think Harrison Minturn was in there as well. So even small things like that were just brilliant to see as well. So
I mean, Ben would only stop them if they robbed the last pie.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't have it any other way.
I had Tyrese and Kessler Hayden pretty much stand next to me. Yeah, so
in the executive boxes.
Yeah. Fifey, Ben just said about.
Confirm they watched the podcast. No, joking.
Go on, Ned.
I would say Ben just mentioned about the playoff feel. I was watching from home, and it was the vibes you were picking up from like the crowd being excited.
You could hear it, couldn't you?
Honestly, and the thing that I was thinking was it just reminded me back in sort of, what was it, 1993 when Swindon played Leicester. There was a massive vibe before, obviously a vibe during and a vibe afterwards, but it felt like it was as important as that. It was just incredible atmosphere. So kept on saying on the group chat that I'm so jealous about not being there, because it seemed incredible. And on the commentary, I'm sure Mark will agree with this, but they kept on saying about how loud Swindon were.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could hear it. It just sounded fantastic.
Well, I was going to say you could hear it on the highlights. So I watched the highlights a couple of times, and you would have thought it was a home crowd and not an away crowd that was there.
Well, it might as well have been.
Yeah.
Mark, let me actually bring you in here,
Sure.
because we've suggested, maybe slightly creatively, used a bit of freedom of license to say that there's evidence that people within the club watch and listen to our episodes, because every time we make a point, that goes and happens. A couple of weeks ago, Ned said, we really have to start scoring goals early. And all of a sudden we get our first goal of the season in the first 15 minutes. And then Harry McCurdy says, nah, fuck that. 3 minutes gone, 1-0. Lovely job.
Yeah, wallop. Yeah, on a plate from Egbo, who incidentally, if we don't sign him on, for at least another season. I mean, he has just got better with the more minutes that he's played, and he was absolute class on Saturday. Him and Payne, actually. I mean, it's moments like this when you want your players to rise to the occasion, and there was that little bit of nagging doubt in the back of my mind that some could be shrinking violets, would be bottle it when it absolutely mattered. And do you know what? It was probably one of the most comfortable games. Yeah. Certainly the first 45 minutes that we've ever played. Second half, and I completely agree with what Garner said post-match. Where, perhaps we kind of retreated into ourselves a bit, made sure that we didn't, take any 50-50 challenges or, try and injure ourselves. We'd done the job. But absolutely crazy watching it from home. Yeah, I mean, Payne, brilliant. What a shot from distance. And I don't know how he managed to be given so much space, bearing in mind that
he's
the type of player.
As well.
Yeah, exactly. He's just that type of player. When he gets on the ball and he's given the time to line it up, it's going in. It's a bit like Reedy when he's got that, when the angle's there, 9 times out of 10 it's on target or top corner. We did ride our luck a little bit in the second half with the job done, but who cares? Step one completed.
Absolutely. And just very briefly, sorry, Ben, I just want to ask that the three of you that were there, Mark's very generously mentioned Egbo there, and I did put a thing out on our Twitter account the other day and Facebook saying, how long does a player have to be at the club before you can fall in love, specifically for him. What did, in the ground, what was the reaction like to seeing the now dubbed Egboner pass and then Harry McCurdy's first time volley, where you were hoping it was going to nestle in the net, even though it was never destined to do so? I
actually missed the moment.
Oh, Woody's Wi-Fi.
Oh, here we go. My back. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually missed McCurdy's volley because when Egbo did it, I just went to Steve just when I went, oh my God, what filthy bastard! and then he was like, McCurdy's just blasted one. I was like, oh. So I missed half of the great move.
Quality. Craig, it was a massive win and a much needed win, it turns out, when you look at results elsewhere.
Oh, good God, yeah. I mean, it was, but it was a good job that we made sure that when we were in that position, it was in our hands. So, this is what we've been talking about the last few games. And when we did it against Forest Green and Barrow, we made sure that we were in that strong position, because in that situation, if we hadn't have done it against Walsall, we wouldn't be as bright-eyed and sort of positive as what we are today. But the lads just did what they had to do, and like Mark was saying, never felt so comfortable at half time. I was so relaxed and everything. It was just like a stroll the second half, really, watching it, just no stress at all. And how often can we say that as Swindon fans with what they've put us through over the years? But yeah, and it was just drama elsewhere as well, obviously, with, I think, avoiding Rovers in the playoffs was
well, you said before,
results.
didn't you? That's who you didn't want to play.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone wanted to play Rovers by the sounds of it. And they're on a roll. Whatever you think of Joey Barton, love him or hate him, he's turned things around there, and he's done a magnificent job, which is total contrast to when we played them at their place. They were calling for his head and everything. You didn't want to face Rovers in the playoffs. They were the form team, and if they had failed to get automatics, I'd have no doubt that they'd have gone on to win the playoffs. So yeah, avoiding them's great, because I'm really positive about our chances of going on and winning it. And I'm normally the more pessimistic one out of the group. It's weird how it's turned around. I guess all the positive vibes and everything that we've got. I watched the game online as well on Saturday, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, even at the new Wembley, I watched Swindon twice at the old Wembley, and we had a good record there, and obviously it hasn't been so good. So it'd be good to sort of break that curse at the new Wembley, I think.
Warren, I've got a question for you specifically in a moment, but picking up on Craig's point there about the importance of certain results and that in getting this playoff picture. Let's bring Liam back in, because we were talking beforehand about certain results that your boys have picked up. How much do you realise what you're doing? Obviously, being football fans, you're focusing on your club, but when you get the results like you've had recently, are you realising how that's affecting teams like us, like completely outside of what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. We've been, since the turn of the year, we've been sort of the thorn in the side of the top seven. Yep. I'm not sure how many of them beat us. I think Bristol Rovers beat us. We've been to some clubs where we should have really lost, and we haven't. And if we have lost, we've not been really played off the park. We've made them really work for it. We made you guys work for it. Sutton, I'm guessing, is the game that for you guys is the big turning point.
Yep. Yeah,
we went into that game, and Sutton they had the longest unbeaten home record in the country, didn't they, when we went there? And we just went, and minute one, we never even looked phased. And I mentioned before we came on about how we've signed Jamie Walker yesterday to a 2-year deal. He's the sort of player that is going to get us where we want to be. He doesn't get phased by things like that. Being in front of big crowds doesn't faze him. He's played Rangers in Scotland. He's scored against them. We went into that game, and players like him just walked the ball around that field. 4-1, job done. Season were done well before that, but it'd have been nice if they'd have done that at the start of the year. But you're welcome, and that's fine.
Warren, back on the team and the performance specifically, as much as for obvious reasons, McCurdy, Payne, Reid, these players always get the shining lights and the glowing reports. There was some interesting points being made, and we've mentioned it in recent episodes as well. The likes of Baudry is constantly, like, his form at the minute is really, really good. There was questions pre-match on Saturday about how the team seem a lot more settled without Woolacott in goal, for example, and do we persist as we are now? And I think we've all kind of said the answer is yes. Do you think we're getting that sort of solid foundation at the back now, which is allowing the likes of McCurdy and Egbo and Barry to start expressing themselves?
Well, we were definitely conceding too many goals, weren't we? And something needed to change. And we all thought the injuries were going to be a bad thing for us, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, didn't it? Bowdry's come back in and he's looked like a new player, looked like the player under Wellens that we had. Do you know what I mean? Solid at the back, can play the ball out, looks really decent. Ward's come back in and done a solid enough job. Jojo, rumours in the club that he's gone, isn't it? And you don't want someone playing who's thinking that they're going to be on their way out. But we just look solid. And then that, like you say, it gives us the foundations to go forward, get the boys, our creative players on the ball. And that's what we've been doing, scoring goals. We mentioned off air about Egbo. I think he's been brilliant since he's come in. He's just got better and better. They were raving about him before we even signed him in training, saying that he's looked really good. And you just got to keep the foundation and everything together now. There's no reason for Garner to change what he's done. The 11 looks solid. I think we could all name the 11 that would start on Sunday if we needed to. You know what I mean? It seems easy. So they've just got to go for it now. No fear. And let's have a good go and see how far we can go.
No, absolutely. Before I pass it back to the three guys that were there on Saturday, since we've hit record, the lesser spotted Kieran has rejoined the panel for the first time in about 6 months. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, very good. Obviously, it has been a while since you've been able to join us and share an opinion. The regular season's over now. We've made the playoffs. Your thoughts on that, pleased?
I think it's realistic with the squad we've got, the bare minimum we should have done. I know at the start of the season it was all we need to stay up and stuff and whatnot, and obviously we didn't have a club and all that. But I think if we had a team of absolute non-league rejects and a really bad team, like you'd be looking at staying up as a positive thing. But I think as the season went on, playoffs with a sort of bare minimum expectation, we made the hard work of it by needing the sort of 4 wins from the last 4. But I think that's for us a positive thing, because I don't think any time I remember we've been in the playoffs in recent years, we've gone in as the 4 side that snuck in on final day or the final few weeks. We've always sort of nearly gone for automatics or sat around 4th, 5th and sort of stuttered going into it, and then done all right in a semi-final, then bottled it at Wembley again. So I think good we're going into it positive. Port Vale worry me a little bit because they owe us quite a few hammer-ins that we've given them. I know we're a bit of a bogey side for them, but that doesn't mean anything in the playoffs.
I know Mark's got a lot to say on how that tie is going to be, so I look forward to bringing him in on that in a minute. It's going
to be tight. I think I'm glad the second leg is away from home, just way it's been at home for us. I'm glad the second leg is away. But I think we've got a chance. I think it'd be typical of us to win at Wembley in a League Two playoff final when we've had so many chances to go to the Championship and do it, when we really wanted to do it for that. But we'll go to Wembley, win the League Two one, and then be in the League One playoff final in 2-3 years' time and absolutely bottle it there again.
You can play us.
So Rich, Woody, Ben, was there anything specifically on the game from being there? Obviously we spoke about the atmosphere, but actually on the pitch, anything in particular you noticed?
The professionalism, the calmness and the confidence throughout the whole team. From the first minute, we just look so ruthless. We've never been, these last 6 weeks or so, we've never been so ruthless as we have been for the first part of the season. We took our chances, we punished them for any mistakes, and we went down a few gears in the second half. If we wanted to score 6, we would have scored 6. We just looked a class above all day, all game, and by half time it could have been any score. But yeah, so really, really good. And it's also worth noting that the front 3 that we've got their record, I think it's 8 wins and 9 they've played together. I think something along those lines. And obviously, I think we discussed before, the one game we did lose, both McCurdy and Barry got injured. So, yeah, they can't cope with this at the minute. So, long may it be the case.
Rich, I actually want to touch on a point, if we can, that Kieran made, and it's about going into the playoffs as the form side, as our most sort of as the person on the panels that's made the most amount of appearances in the stands this year. Are you seeing differences in the play? They say that confidence breeds confidence, etc. Now that we've got those 4 wins in a row, are you seeing game by game these little flashes of extra quality?
Yeah, I think so. I think I think somebody said earlier that obviously McCurdy's obviously been massive since he's come back and everything like that. I think he's just a huge influence on and off the pitch. You know, he knows how to get the fans riled up and everything like that. And like you said in the post match against Hartlepool, like these past few games, the fans have actually got the team through. And obviously, whenever we've gone away this season, we've always made noise. We've always gone up in numbers. And I don't think, apart from a couple of the Tuesday night games that we've had away, I don't think we've had less than 500 fans going away this season. But the only reason we've had 500 going to those games is because that's all they've allocated us. So, and that's going up north and everything like that. So, you know, I think the fans have been hugely influential in terms of the play on the pitch. On Saturday, they knew what they had to do. I reckon Ghana went into that dressing room pre-match and said, like, look, you know what you need to do today. We need to win to guarantee playoffs. Obviously, we can hope for teams around us to drop points, but I know, especially from a manager's point of view, that's just that would be poor mentality. That would be poor to go in and say, oh yeah, doesn't really matter what happens today, lads. Like, we can always hope for teams around us to drop points. And thankfully we didn't, because, you know, obviously Sutton had won. If we had drawn or lost, we wouldn't be, well, like Ben said earlier, we wouldn't be here talking about today. So
completely different conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think, I do think some players have been hugely influential. Obviously, like I said, McCurdy's been massively influential. Some people were talking about captaincy for next season, obviously, if Conroy's not here. And a lot of people were saying Jack Payne, and I think he's been massively influential. Obviously comes with experience and everything like that. So, you know, and you've got massive characters. And I think if anybody watched the awards, the Tom Broadbent Lounge awards last week with the players, you can see that there's such huge personalities in there.
Yeah.
And the way that some of the youngsters have come in, I think one of them was like Ricky Aguiar. Coming in, apparently he was really shy, but now he's like the biggest. He's like a Harry McCurdy duo, or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant. It's brilliant, and you know, personality off the pitch usually turns into, if you've got good personality off the pitch, you know what you want to do, and you go out and show it on the pitch. So. It's really good to have a bunch of characters in here, and I think that's really come across this season.
Woody, is there anything else you wanted to add into that?
What was the question again? Rich started talking about personalities and said Tom Broadbent.
Before you do, because you were talking about awards, I want to just bring a point up that this is my point I'm bringing to tonight. We had our Player of the Season awards last night, and do you know what won goal of the season?
Go on. Oh. That once against us, the countdown.
Theo Robinson, and that's the only point I wanted to make tonight. Theo Robinson against you guys, coming on his first goal. It's all he's done.
Yeah,
he's done nothing.
I didn't rate him. I know he scored a few goals for us, but I still didn't rate him.
Loved him. My other half loved him as well, but that was for other reasons, I think.
So we when we played Mansfield, and I had some friends down from Scotland. He's a Hartlepool fan, but he brought his missus. She's not a football fan, and I took him to the game, and we were playing. Playing Mansfield, and she sat there, and she halfway through the game, she just turned to him and she went, "You see that Robinson? He's fucking shite," and that's all she said. And I was like, she doesn't know football, but she knows now because she has just nailed that. No, he's not been offered a contract. He's in talks with Southend now, guys. So. Yeah,
about right.
To him. Yeah, he's going back there, is he?
Yeah.
So the question that was asked, Woody, was simply in terms of levels of performance and anything in particular you noticed from the game on Saturday, differences in play or just improvements in attitude, etc.
I think we kind of mirrored the attitude we've had for the last few games, to be honest. You know, we're still playing. branded Ghana ball, if you like. We're just
Yeah.
probably opening up a little bit more against teams now and taking a few more risks. And equally, teams are coming to us a little bit more with a few more risks as well. And I think it's, I've got to take my hat off to Jack Payne again, as Rich said. He was bloody everywhere on Saturday, and apparently he didn't do the most running either. I was listening to the supporters club thing, and Ray Murphy was on there, and he said actually Louis Reed did more running than Jack Payne, which just he's an unsung hero though, Louis Reed, isn't he? So
hardly unsung, is he?
Well, yeah, not anymore. Yeah. So, but we tried to keep him unsung, so nobody else looks at him. But but for me, the biggest thing has been, if you look at the last 5-6 games, Baldry has been such a massive influence. Baldry didn't play against Leyton Orient, or he came on, if I remember rightly. He started on the bench if he came on. I don't think he did come on. And that's the game that we thought had thrown our chances away. And I think it's kind of a connection with Ward, Baldry, and Conroy. And I think where we've had such shifted defences over the last, over the season, really, we obviously lost Hunt, Mr. Consistent, but then Egbo has just so happened to reach kind of the levels that we need him to be at in fitness wise. Yandelo's playing some of his best left back football at the moment. And Conroy and Baldry in the middle with, I feel like they're more confident when they got Ward behind them. But also, I think Conroy uses Baldry's experience a bit more as well, because whereas Conroy's always had, the youngsters next to him effectively, he's been the experienced one. And I don't think he's actually massively comfortable being the experienced defender. I think he's still really kind of inexperienced in himself. When you actually put in his playing years, how many games he's actually played, he's still relatively inexperienced. And like we say, Baldry's playing the games of his life at the moment, and obviously we probably know the reason why that is. But if that means we go up and he finishes with a playoff win, then absolutely fair play to him. He'll leave Swindon on a massive high. Not the perception that we might have had of him six to 9 months ago.
Yeah, completely.
Can I just add to that, Fifey? What Woody was saying about Ward, that Conroy and Baldry being comfortable with Ward behind them. One thing that kind of went on under the radar on Saturday was Ward's distribution. He was so good throwing that ball out, from the back and starting off a lot of our moves. And I think one of the concerns about the whole Woolacott-Ward debate is he as good, starting the moves with his feet or throwing it out and everything. And I think he showed that he's just as good at doing that as Woolacott, maybe more so with his hands than with his feet. But yeah, his distribution was really good on Saturday and was key to I think to us, as well as everyone else's performance. It was key to us getting that result.
He gets it out quick, and he's got a good throw on him, isn't he?
Yeah,
he gets it out quick.
Well, let's now look ahead. We've got a playoff campaign in front of us, and Liam, in a minute, I'll come back to you and ask you to fully publicise your thoughts on the playoffs and whether you do think we have it within us to go all the way and actually win at Wembley. But Mark, we were talking off camera, and you've got a specific set of points you'd like to make. You've been doing so. You kind of did your own version of the Ned report for us.
I'll never be as good as Ned. Never be as good as Ned. But I did take a few points. Yeah. So I thought, well, I'll have a little look at how Port Vale's season has fared. So obviously they finished one place above us, so they're obviously not going to. It's not going to be a walk in the park. The playoffs never are. But their home and away records are fairly symmetrical. So they've won 11, drawn 6, and lost 6 at home and away. Obviously, we know very early in the season they beat us 2-1 at home. Obviously, Tyrese scored in that game either side of Garrity getting a couple, but that was early season and we were still finding our way. So you can kind of forgive that. And then we won 3-1 at Vale Park. But that was down to, in part, their goalkeeper being sent off for kicking out of McCurdy. So have we actually seen or played the true Port Vale this season? When we've got a full strength side and a side that's settled, from a tactical perspective, I don't know. But I think the big thing for me is that, yes, Port Vale lost a lot of form in recent weeks. And basically, they had to go to Exeter, who should have been champions by all accounts over Forest Green for many reasons. but they went there, they nicked a 1-goal advantage, and they defended for their lives. Now, that really worries me with them coming to us on Sunday. We've had it done so many times this season where a team have nicked a goal, sat back, and we've struggled to break them down. So from my point of view, I think us having the home leg first is an advantage. We are dynamite away from home. I don't think anyone can argue with that. And I would much rather have it this way around. I think the key for us is to make sure that we don't lose at home. If we're level, and I genuinely think it's going to finish 1 each, then we'll go away from home, and both teams will have to attack looking for the result, and that will suit us down to the ground. If Vale manage to nick a lead, it's going to be incredibly difficult away from home. That's just how I see it. And let's be honest, take the rose tinteds off for a moment. Port Vale are in the playoffs on merit.
Yeah.
We want it. We want to be in a position where both sides have to attack in that crucial second leg. Simple as that. And obviously, Garrity, Proctor, and Wilson are very dangerous players on their day. They've been superb for them this season. But regardless of their form, and regardless of the fact that I don't think we'll have it all our own way in the first game, I genuinely think that we're still making Wembley.
Okay. Ned, let me throw it over to you. What did you make? An able deputy if you weren't able to appear 1 week?
Yeah, absolutely. Much better than me, in all fairness.
Hardly, Ned. Come
on. It was really good, and certainly would do a good job, and certainly delivered in a professional manner as well. So well done.
Thanks, Ned.
Much better than me. I haven't done a Ned report this evening because I've been in a very deep and dark place. But apart from that, I take my hat off. I absolutely agree with everything that you've said there. It's very important that we need Port Vale to be in a position where they have to attack in that second leg. I couldn't say it better myself. Fair play.
Liam, from an external perspective then, how are you viewing the playoffs? Before I ask the guys individually how confident they are going into the weekend and beyond, how are you viewing it in terms of the 4 competitors for the League Two playoffs?
You know what? So you look at the playoffs and you think you want the team that plays the most exciting football to win. You want the team that you've seen produce the best over 12 months, and well, it's not 12 months, is it? But we'll count pre-season. It's fine. And yeah, I mean, for me, I think there's a clear winner of these playoffs. And I think Wrexham are going to do the National League playoffs. I just don't think there's any question about it. No, do you know what I've said? And Ben will back me up on this. I've said this for a long, long time. I genuinely believe that you guys are the best footballing team in League Two. And it's been for a while. And I get what you're saying. No one wants to lose their first leg. We did when we were in the League Two playoff finals, last League Two playoff finals we were in. We played Burton. We lost 3-2 at home. We went away from home and we absolutely spanked them. And we won. So, it's not the end of the world if you do. It's not ideal, but I think you look at the 4 teams. Yeah, Port Vale, they are there on merit. I think you guys are a better side. I've seen both teams. I've been at games where both teams have played this season. You're a better side. You've got better players. Northampton are reeling after what they've gone through at the weekend, and I don't think they'll recover from it. I think it's just going to all we're going to hear next year is excuses from Northampton fans about why they should be in this league and how Scunthorpe have thrown it and there's a conspiracy and all this stuff. But yeah, no, it's you guys. Mansfield, they're not the team they were 3 months ago when they went on that blinding run. They've lost a lot of it. I think it'll be you and Mansfield in the final. I think you'll shade it. You've got to shade it because the transfers you've got lined up depend on you going up.
Well, we might be touching on that in a little while, but it's
Theo Robinson.
Yeah, well, indeed.
Nope.
But it certainly fills me with a lot more confidence when someone as knowledgeable of the division as yourself is backing us to do well. So I'll go in order as you appear on the screen, particularly after what you've heard both Mark and Liam say. Ben, how confident are you going into the semis?
Well, if we're going to play a 2-game tie against the other 3 remaining playoff teams, it would be Port Vale. because I think our history and our past games against Vale is pretty good.
I hate when Ben's this confident.
They've
really
got a nice
hate it when
big
he's
fat
this
wide
confident.
pitch as well. They've got a nice big fat wide pitch up their ground, which suits our game perfectly.
Oh, here's where Rich.
Did he say
is
pitch?
This Rich's best pitch in the
Yeah, I know
league
Rich is
comment
where
goes
Rich
out.
belongs, but it's the reason.
Did he
why
say
we've done
pitch
so
then,
well.
by the way?
He did say
Did you-
pitch, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
pitch.
He said
Yeah.
nice, big, fat, wide pitch. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he was just giving us an
Nice big
insight as
ground.
to what his preferences are and what he looks for. Oh, they've got a nice, big, fat, wide pitch up there.
I think if we can avoid defeat at the county ground, as Mark says, if we can avoid defeat at the county ground, we've got a golden opportunity of getting through. And I think the tie is the right way round for us. And I'm confident because of the players are fit. We don't know what's going to happen. We could go 2 down in the first 10 minutes. We can get some sending offs. McCurdy might do his ACL. We don't know. It's the playoffs. Anything can happen. But on paper,
How
think
has this
we have got the better
conversation
team.
gone from Port Vale have got the perfect pitch to he's going to do his ACL?
No,
I
ramble.
I want to know how he did his ACL and he's back in time. I did mine in 2004 and I still can't run upstairs.
Oh, no, he didn't do his. He done his calf. He done his calf, and then someone posted he's out for the season.
That's completely different, Ben.
No, I know. No, I'm saying McCurdy could do his ACL.
Has he ever done his
play
ACL?
against tomorrow and do his ACL? We don't know.
That now.
There's a drama training coming in there, Ben, isn't it?
Has he ever done his ACL?
No.
So why on earth would that be a worry?
I was just theoretically.
He's never been kidnapped by aliens and probed, but that could happen as
Could
well.
happen.
I'm just saying,
It could
it's a playoff.
It's only slightly more likely than me taking Rita Ora as my +1 to Wembley. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's got a good point.
I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't
Yeah,
rule it
Just
out.
give up on your dreams. Never
She
give up on your
doesn't have a nice, big, fat, wide pitch.
It's the playoffs where anything can happen, and anything usually does happen, as we know from past experiences.
No, Ben, it's all this media work you've been doing. You're working for Sky now,
No, I'm not done Sky.
promoting the playoffs.
He's like a politician now.
D3, D4 earlier, Bev Walker there. Wasn't it?
Craig, let's.
And he's on the lower league look next week.
Is he on the lower league one next week? Nice.
Yeah, you're coming on there, aren't you? You're coming to debate with.
Has he got an auto cue? Because he didn't deviate from his speech whatsoever there, did he?
Craig, let's
like
let's
watching
go for
Michael
something.
Burke.
Let's go for something less auto cue, more authentic from you, if we can. How confident are you?
Well, I was confident until I heard the Mark report there. So no, I'm joking. No, I'm still confident. We've got enough to beat Port Vale over 2 legs, and like I said earlier, as long as it wasn't Rovers, I think we can go on and win it. I think we'll get the result over 2 legs, and we'll probably beat them 1-0. I think on Sunday, and then who knows what will happen in the second leg? But I'm confident we can get through to the final and win it.
And how about you, Warren?
I'm nervous. I just go back to the player. You never can predict for me. For us, I hate it when we all go, "Oh, this is the best tie we could have had in the playoffs." Port Vale. You cannot say that. They're at the moment, they're a team that have united together. They've had a tough season. I think we forget that Darryl Clark was away for a long period of time. Their gaffer was away a long time. I think he's come back. He was in the dugout for the first time on Saturday against Exeter. They pick up a massive result. I can't predict it. I've said this all year for us. If we play our football and we implement it on a team, we will beat anyone at this level. And I think that's just what will get us over the line, that we play a good style of football. And Port Vale are going to be this. I think they'll come and respect us and try and make it as difficult as possible for us. I think that's the way they'll go about it. But I can't predict with Swindon. You just never know. We've been through it so many times where we think we've got the gimme tie where we're going to get through, and I just sit there and you just regret it, don't you? You just think, oh my God.
When you say that, as soon as you said when Swindon think they got the gimme tie, how many times we've got non-league clubs in the FA Cup, for example, and just gone, oh yeah, that's us getting to the second and third round, and no,
Yeah.
To be fair, I've never said that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thinks that this is going to be easy. I just think
Liam does.
we got a better chance. We got a better chance without Rovers. It's like I think it was Liam was saying earlier, or Mark, that every team that's there in the playoffs is there on merit. So it's not going to be a walkover, especially over 2 games. But yeah, I still think we've got enough. If we approach, all right, Port Vale play a different style of football to what Walsall did, but if we approach the game in the same way and get that early goal, we've always got a good chance.
Rich, I'll come to you next and ask you your thoughts. But just allay any fears. We're not going to end up in a situation with like Sheffield United again, are we, with this 2-legged affair?
Oh, bloody hope not. I almost had a heart attack during that game. No, I don't see it going that way personally. I think that we should be able to comfortably.
Someone else has used a very strong word there.
Not in that sense, but
Warren's not happy.
No, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be first leg's going to be tough. Both teams are going to be going for it. But again, I think that suits us. If teams are coming at us, we can catch them on the counter attack. I think it's something that we cannot take for granted. We're in a good position going into these playoffs. I know everybody said that form in the league, you can't take that into the playoffs. Playoffs is a completely different ball game. I think if you look at the playoffs that we've had in previous years, I know we haven't been in them for an awful long time, but if you look at them, we've always had quite thriller of playoff ties. So, and Swindon never go doing it the easy way either. So, and I think that's something that we've started to learn as well, especially in the month of April. It was almost like, yeah, we're getting playoffs. No, we're out of the playoffs. We're back in the playoffs again. No, we're out of the playoffs. Woohoo, we're through again. So,
woohoo!
That was the most enthusiastic woohoo I've ever heard.
Homer Simpson, woohoo.
Woohoo.
Yeah, so, I think we've got to go in with the same mentality as we have done in the last 4 or 5 games. And literally just do what we can do, because we know what we can do. And Ben said it earlier about Port Vale's pitch. That also suits us when we go away there. I think we've got to use the players that we know are capable of potentially getting us to the final, which is obviously which would be absolutely huge for us, and it'd be absolutely huge for Clem as well. So, I really, really hope that we literally put our best performance, literally mirrors to what we did against Walsall, and I think we'll be absolutely fine.
I know history won't have any effect on this group of players, Ned, but it will on fans, and I believe. Is this going to be our 9th playoff campaign since they became a thing? For those who have, whether it's their first time going through the playoffs, their 4th time, or their 9th time, there's going to be a certain element of the nerves, isn't there? And it's important that that doesn't get projected onto the pitch, particularly in that first leg.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but feel incredibly nervous, but we've just all got to come together and just be like we've been for the last few games at home. I mean, the fans have been absolutely fantastic ever since Harry McCurdy's rally cry. But yeah, I mean, we need to give the players as much confidence as possible. I know that at times, here it is. At times, we can get a bit quiet when it gets a bit nervy, but as long as everyone shows that passion that we have done for the last few games, I'm sure we're going to push through. I am confident that we're going to go on to do well in this game, and I think we'll progress. I honestly believe that we'll win at home, and then that'll lead us to win away. one point I do want to make, and I'm not sure if this has been negative for the sake, like negative, here we go, for the sake of being negative. But we seem to have a fantastic first 11, and we've got nothing off the bench. I mean, we had Gladwin, we got Gladwin on the bench. What's he done since he's come on as a substitute? I know he's been off injured, but for me, he hasn't shown up he hasn't shown me anything these last few games. He's only done a few minutes. I know. I can see there's a few people grimacing and stuff, but I feel that we've got no game changers on our bench whatsoever. So I feel if we're not in the lead coming up to 70, 80 minutes, I don't feel that we've got enough to turn that around.
Ned, can you foresee, given the conversations we've had in recent weeks, can you foresee a situation where it's level in the second leg, 10 minutes to go, and all of a sudden Parsons comes on and puts us through to Wembley?
Do you know what? I'll say right now, okay, if Parsons scores a goal in the playoffs or playoff final, I'll do the standard thing and get a tattoo put on myself.
Oh no!
Okay? And I swear on my life I'll do that. But I'm just saying,
There he was talking about installing confidence in the players.
But it's just, we need to, take action early and not leave it to the last minute like we have done earlier on in the season. We just haven't got the squad depth to make any sort of, game-changing substitutions at the moment. And I mean, that's going to be very different next season. We'll be able to put a decent squad together next season, but we just haven't got that at the moment. So we need to make sure that we're there early doors. For me.
Well, of course, with recent comments made on these pods by two of our panelists, one about Odemayo and one about Gladwin, when they both come off the bench, it's always good value banter on our WhatsApp calls. Woody, last but certainly no means least, how are you feeling going into the playoffs?
Well, I think I might be the most confident out of everybody, to be honest.
Oh no!
Hold on a minute. When I last said that, right? I said that we would beat Walsall comfortably, and everybody was like, "No, we're probably only going to win 1-0, last-minute goal, and all this kind of stuff." And I also said we'd beat Harrogate comfortably, even though most people did, as well. So
we've never beaten Harrogate ever in our history. So thanks for that. We have lost every single game.
Whilst I kind of maybe understand Ned's point about squad depth, Port Vale don't particularly have great squad depth either. So they're in the same situation as we are. Contrary to what I've said this season, I actually thought Gladwin was okay when he came off the bench on Saturday. I think he did the job that he needed to do. The one thing I did find myself though was counting how many misplaced passes Louis Reed did. And that was because of Ned. I think I got to about 8 and then I gave up. But that was across the whole game. No, but back to Port Vale. I think we are going to beat them 2-0 at home, and then we're going to beat them 2-1 away.
Nice.
I'm pretty confident. I'm not going to, as I kind of agree with Wazza. I admittedly on Saturday I probably said, out of all of those teams, I'd probably want to play Port Vale, and I wanted to avoid Mansfield and Rovers. But I just feel I felt more confident coming up against Vale because of the type of team Vale are and the type of performance that we could put on against them. I think it was Rich said earlier, it was very early in the season when they beat us and things like that. I think we had a few players missing. I know Mark mentioned about their goalkeeper. Their goalkeeper's been sent off about 4 times this season. So if they haven't learned their lesson already,
he's not even in their squad anymore. He's not even in their squad.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think, me and Rich were at that game. We were battering them long before that keeper was sent off. We were all over them. So I think, it always changes the game. But then we say that we lost to Leyton Orient with 10 men. So it's sometimes having a player sent off isn't always a good thing. What did I say? 2-0 and 2-1. I think we've got this in the bag. I do feel that we'll have Northampton in the final though. I get what Liam said about being on a bit of a downer, but you know, they're still technically the fourth best team in the league by stats. So they'll find a way to get there past Mansfield, I think. And I'd rather play Northampton if I'm brutally honest, but there's no easy route.
There are a couple of other topics I'd like to come on to, but aware of the time we are recording and the possibility that Mark might not be able to last the duration of the episode, I do want to, given that he has over the last couple of weeks submitted 10, 12, 15 questions for you lot to answer, I think it's only right that he gets the opportunity to answer one himself as he's here. So I'm going to delve into the mailbag a bit quick. And there's obviously been one major talking point off the pitch, and it's been a certain transfer link, which may or may not have been mentioned on just about every EFL podcast and review. The possibility, and let's keep it as factual as we can, the possibility of the rumour that Charlie Austin may come back. Now, we've understandably asked for questions, and this has popped up a couple of times. Daz Smith has asked simply the return of Charlie Austin, possibility or never in our wildest dreams? And couple that with a more sort of factual or a more detailed answer required from our friend Oakus Road, who we continue to send our best wishes to. Unfortunately, his operation's been delayed, so he now knows whether Swindon get to Wembley or not, he won't be able to make it, sadly. But he's asked, lots of talk about Charlie Austin coming back. If he did, would that generate additional fans, do you think? And if so, how many? And he's gone on to say, if he was able to add 1,000 fans at £20, that would be 20k, which would cover a wage of 10k a week. No brainer for him. So Mark, over to you. Charlie Austin, obviously most would say yes, they want him back, but will he come back?
Yes. In a word, yes. I think Charlie Austin is at the stage of his career now where maybe injuries have caught up with him a little bit, and he's not as quick as he once was. But what I would say is, would a player like that score 20 goals in our team and the way that we play with the pace around him? Absolutely. Austin is a fox in the box. He's a genuine poacher. He is capable of magic, as we all know from the time that he spent here at SN1. I genuinely think, again, that at this stage of his career, he's made his millions. I think he also respects his roots and where he came from, and the fact that Swindon gave him the chance in league football where maybe other clubs didn't. And as a result of that, he has a massive affinity with the club. He's at the games so frequently. It would be ridiculous for any fan not just romanticize, but genuinely think that his heart is here and that he would want to play, maybe the last couple of years of his career at this level or at league level. For Swindon, he loves the place. That is an irrefutable fact. So yes, I do genuinely think that he will come back, and I don't think it matters which league we're in. I know Ben Garner's very good at being the ultimate shithouse and keeping his cards close to his chest over many things. I will come back to a point that some of the panel made earlier about the form that we're in. But in terms of Austin, any manager, even with any target, if they're sensible, is not going to say that we're in for that player, because it just opens up negotiations elsewhere. Yeah, I genuinely think he will come back. And then the point that Oakus Road made with regard to, do I think he'll have bumps to seats? Yeah, absolutely. People will always want to come out and see whether the player's still got it. And I'm fairly confident that will lead to an increased gate. Again, if we're in a higher division, we're going to naturally attract more fans anyway. Yep. But I think the fact we're already at over 2,500 season ticket renewals at this stage, bearing in mind the problems the club are still having with ticketing, is phenomenal. It shows a great impetus from fans. I think we'll smash the season ticket barrier or the level that we hit this current season next year anyway, because we're in such a good place. I mean, God, just on that very note, and just detracting slightly, I put a point out on Twitter earlier on. So just to wet the whistle, how far we've come as a club in a year. Forget,
I saw this.
Can you tell me the name of our kit men? And obviously, yeah, people can. I mean, when have you ever been able to name who our kit men are? And so many fans know, because their proper personalities were all really engaged with one another. And I don't think signing somebody like Austin, it would be considered a massive coup. I think he is, one of those genuine footballers, and we attract those. If you look at like the comments that Reedy made recently, and Payne, and even McCurdy, they all want to be playing for a club where they're loved, where they feel welcome, where they're able to be themselves, and that shows on the pitch. Look at the seasons they've had. Austin's the same type of player. He's loved here, and he would be absolutely loved. Even if he only scored 5-10 goals in a season, he would still be loved. I still think he'd score more than that, but yes to signing him, and yes to adding bums to seats. Simple as that.
I gave Ned a theoretical or based on something he said. So I'm gonna do the same to you. You've said he signs, and it's probably the last couple of years of his career. So say it's a 2-year deal, okay? And at the end of the second season, we're in another League One playoff final, and he's put through 1-on-1 again, and the drama of him actually scoring this time, and the whole Charlie Austin story going full circle on his final game.
I think that's probably the more fantasist argument that's out there. Would I love to see him in that position to put right or wrong? Absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to see Charlie Austin bag in the winning goal at Wembley to take us into the Championship, which I don't think is a million miles away. I mean, I know people talk about, you need to build if you get up and to start thinking. I think that plan's already well in motion. It's an interesting point. I will be amazed if he signs for another club. I'll be amazed if he goes to Bradford. No disrespect to Bradford, but again, he's come out and said recently on TalkSport that they're too far. So many clubs are too far away from where he wants to be, and a lot was made of his reaction to that. And when he was asked about signing for Swindon, and there was a big smile on his face. But players don't lie. He genuinely wants to come home.
Well, let's ask Liam then. What do you think when you see rumours that someone of the stature of Charlie Austin may sign Swindon, especially when they're, whether rightly or wrongly, being linked with clubs the size of yours as well?
I think this summer, any club that releases a player worth of salt outside of the top 6 of the Championship is going to be linked with us because of Mark Hughes. I don't think he's going to sign for us. As soon as I read the rumour, someone said, but Mark Hughes managed him at QPR. I said, right, he managed Carlos Tevez at Man City, but I ain't seeing Carlos Tevez driving down Manningham Lane today. It's not happening. No, but that's the sort of thing, it takes more than that. He managed him at QPR, never signed him. It wasn't that Mark Hughes was like, I want him to play for me, and went out and bought him and this, that, and the other. No, he's going to you guys. There's a couple of points just to sort of respond to what you said there. First of all, about knowing the kit man's name. I don't even know our kit man's name, and I work there. First point. Second point, I think that Austin coming into you guys is bigger than him just performing on the pitch. You've got McCurdy, and you're not seeing it now, but McCurdy in his career has been known as being a problem. He has attitude has been a problem, and he's still got that.
Oh, we're aware.
But because he's scoring for you and playing well, you're letting it slide. If he has that bit of a rough patch, it's going to be difficult. You see the way he went to player at season awards, unreal. What an idiot. I really like the guy, but what a knobhead. You see him. I saw him on a Swindon podcast thing. I think it was a podcast where there's this on these couches, and he was talking on that. And I think Charlie Austin coming in will make him a better professional. That's what I think the job is. Yes, he's going to be brought in. They're going to want him to score goals, and he's going to score goals. But I think the way that McCurdy will go from, because he's here when it comes to where he is right now in terms of League Two level, the rest of the league's down here, but he can go up here and he can keep going, and he needs that person who's going to lean on him and go, wind your neck in, get off Instagram, buy some fucking shoes rather than flip-flops, take that hat off, get your hair cut, right?
Do you sound like a Carlisle fan now? You sound like a Carlisle fan.
Have you seen Charlie's hair? He's not likely to be telling it to
I was going to say, I don't think Charlie Austin would do that. I mean, he's not. To be quite fair, he's not the best professional himself. Let's be honest.
No, he likes a beer.
You might like it. I mean, you can like a beer, but I mean, Come on.
Yeah, but I think
That's-
Charlie Austin goes a little bit more mad than that.
I don't know. I think, do you know what? Yes,
listen, any sort of professional sportsman who's happy to rock up to the cinema in full Spider-Man outfit because they're taking their kid has my utmost respect regardless.
I really appreciate that, and I think that that's a good point. But I still think that if let's be honest, McCurdy, he's not going to want to stay at Swindon forever. If you're a young football league, you don't want to stay at clubs that are going to be League One, League Two. I'm not saying that you guys can't go higher, but he's got potential to play at a very, very high level. And I think having someone alongside him that's been there, that's done it, that's seen it all, that's played under some of the best managers, that's played against the best players, is going to be able to say to him, look,
I'll certainly learn.
Yeah, there's another aspect to your game. You've got it on the pitch, but when it goes wrong, you need to know when to shut up, because if it goes wrong and you're still going out and saying Bradford's a shithole, I want to go home, but you've lost 3-1 and you've been worst player on the pitch, no one's going to go, oh, that's really funny, Harry. They're going to go, yeah, stop being a dick. And that's what I think he needs, just that. Yeah, I mean, did he come from Carlisle? Is that where you got him from?
McCurdy?
Yeah, it was a free. It was a free. Yeah, it was a free.
He was at Port Vale before.
Was it Port Vale? I don't
Yeah.
know where he was, because you mentioned Carlisle. We had the same with Naki Wells. Naki Wells came to us. He had attitude problems. He was told he'd never make it in the game because he had a bad attitude. Phil Parkinson basically just said, enough, done. This is your last chance. I'll make sure that you either perform for us and cut the shit out off the pitch, or you'll never play football in this country again. And it happened. And you look at him, I mean, I just don't know where he is now. I think he's at Bristol, possibly. I don't know. Don't really pay much attention to him anymore since he left us for Huddersfield at Judas. But yeah, no, I think that's, for me, what Austin will bring. He'll bring the goals, but the knowledge and the little shoulder that he's going to be able to have McCurdy lean on when he needs help, that's going to be invaluable. So yeah, the amount that you're going to pay him, but surely you can't pay 10 grand a week at League Two. Financial fair play has got to come in at some stage here. If you guys, after the troubles you've had this last 2 years, drop 10 grand a week on someone coming in at League Two level, then there's a bigger problem. People say we're buying the league, right? No chance. I will just share a link to Charlie Austin's wage slips every single week. Just be like, shut up. There you go.
An interesting actual point Liam made there was about everything else associated with this potential transfer, not just what happens on the pitch. And it would be interesting. When I say this, bear in mind, I'm not comparing the two players, but does it have a similar feel for Swindon as to last summer when, like, Ronaldo went back to Man United, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a little bit of that in there, because everyone remembers the quality that Austin brought to the side that number of years ago, and how he affected the team and what we achieved with him in playing in that team. So why wouldn't, I mean, imagine if he did come. Imagine we get promoted into League One and he comes back. It's going to be like a marquee signing. And the potential that could have. I mean, every football club looks to make a signing in the summer, which is, a statement. Is going to be the
names on shirts.
Yeah, but that gives you that kind of momentum, gives the fans that momentum and belief from day one. And if you can get that, there's no reason to think. I mean, why wouldn't Clem take a gamble? He's already shown. I mean, Johnny Williams. I mean, again. Yeah. I mean, let's just talk about Johnny Williams. How have we got a Welsh international footballer playing at League Two standard, of the standing of Johnny Williams? How did we sign Louis Reed? They are quality footballers that could quite easily be playing at a much higher level than League Two. No disrespect to us as a football club, but we're blessed to have them in our side. But I think a part of it is whatever the two Bens are selling, not only is the concept of playing for Swindon, but releasing that potential when they're here. A lot of it, the point I wanted to make, we spoke earlier on about the number of loanees that have come back to the club to watch us play. I mean, Tomlinson, Kane Kessler-Hayden, Tyrese, exactly. I mean, they owe us nothing. They owe us nothing as a club. They were, technically development loans that came and, applied their trade here for a few months. How often do loan players ever go back to watch the team they were on loan to do well, unless you have something special, not only in the dressing room, but in the coaching makeup and how they're treated as people and players, and the environment that you have. It's, whatever we've done in the back office in such a short period of time has been nothing short of phenomenal. And that's where all of our success has come from, without a shadow.
Well, no, that's a very valid point. I'm certainly interested to hear what everyone else thinks about this room before we move on. Craig, let me ask you first. Yes or no? Do you see him coming back?
Yes, but I think it'll only be if we're in League One. I see where Mark's coming from about the the romance of being in love with the club and that the club loves him. But he's also he's a professional footballer, and it sounds obvious, but they want to play as high as possible for as long as possible. And I think he could do that he can obviously do that in League One, no problem. And I think as well, we'll only get him on a year contract because obviously his wages is going to be high, and we don't want to tie into a player who's, let's face it, he hasn't had the best injury record. If we tie him into a 2-year contract on however many thousands a week, and he gets a bad injury, that's us in trouble financially again. So I can't see Clem or Rob Angus tying us down to a long deal. It'd be like a year deal with a year extension, I'd imagine, with him
based on appearances, kind of thing.
A certain amount of games. But Christ, I'd love to have him back at the club. And like we were saying earlier about unfinished business after that miss at Wembley, it would be amazing. I'd love to be proved wrong. I'd love for him to come in League Two and play for us if we're still down there next season. But if we go up, Charlie Austin all the way in League One. What a team we'll have. And I think as well, Mark made a good point about Johnny Williams. Yeah, he came in. This was under the transfer restrictions, so Johnny Williams isn't on great money, and he was still convinced to come to the club. So possibly we could, we'd be the only team that could get Charlie Austin on a cut price wage. I'd imagine he'd be happy to take that. A significant drop, I'd imagine, but Charlie Austin all the way. But sadly, I think it will be in League One
dependent.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you there? You've just said about obviously Williams coming in, and obviously he's come in when you've had this. Is it 13, 14, 1,500 £1 a week?
Yeah, it's around that. I think.
1,300 quid. Yeah.
Do you think you guys are finding a way around that?
You meant seeing his appearance bonus. That's what you meant.
That's what I mean. Is there something that we're not seeing here? Because it makes no sense that you've built this squad when you look at Scunthorpe were in the exact same boat as you, and they finished the season on Saturday with 9 youth players playing in their first team. You guys are talking about bringing Charlie Austin into your club, and you guys are at the same point. What is your owner doing? Is he giving away plots of land at the ground?
That's it. I was going to say, we mentioned a few weeks ago about the Oasis. So it's quite clear that Johnny Williams now owns the Oasis.
Charlie Austin owns that new stand that you're building. Yeah. There's got to be something. You guys have got to be doing something. I don't know if that could be a way, like an appearance or a goal bonus or.
Let's just clarify. You're not suggesting we're doing anything dodgy.
No, because if you were doing it dodgy, you'd have been caught. But
I'm pretty sure with the EFL regulations that appearances and all are counted towards it. We're under a very tight microscope being under this embargo.
Yeah,
and obviously signing someone like Johnny Williams, they would have scrutinised that deal, and I can't see it being maybe promises.
Bullshit.
Gentlemen's agreements were probably made with Williams, off the record, but I don't think there was like a workaround for that. Once you're under an embargo, you are under the microscope big time, and it's the same. It's been the same for like the other teams sort of further up the leagues like Reading and teams like that. It's you can't get away with that sort of thing. I'd be very surprised if we had.
Did I hear, I think it was Payne was saying post-match that at the start of the season there were 8 or 9 teams under an embargo, us being one of them, and all of them have either been relegated or been in a relegation fight. We're the only one that started in the embargo that has gone for a promotion chasing campaign.
That's a red flag right there.
A red and white flag.
I don't care.
Carnival.
You can tell me you're under a microscope all you like. Your guys have found a way around. It's not illegal what they've done. They're not breaking no rules because they wouldn't be getting away with it. But there is something that we don't know. There has to be. Did Harry McCurdy sign a new contract not that long ago?
Yeah, he did.
Why?
Yeah,
Why? Right, why 2 months ago would he sign a new contract when he knows the season's coming up and he can just sign another one that's going to be 3 times? No, something you guys are doing. You're off backhanders. There's something going on. You bought him a house.
It wouldn't be the first time, Liam.
No, brown paper bags and all that.
Yeah, you bought him a house. That's what it is. The material goods count towards this embargo. Can you buy them things?
Amazing what you can put through the books nowadays.
Yeah, just bought him a selection of flip-flops and hats and shit haircuts.
Well, Warren, let's bring you in on the debate then. Austin, yes or no?
In my heart, I'd absolutely love it. Like, I echo what Mark said, what Craig said, what all of us have said. It would be a dream, wouldn't it? He's such a talent. I do agree with Craig. I think the only chance would be if we were in League One. Austin is still pretty driven, and I don't think he'd want to drop 2 divisions. I don't think he would see himself as dropping 2 divisions.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have plenty of opportunities to play in League One. I think even some lower championship sides would be having a look as well. So I can't see any reason why he would drop to League Two. So I think it's massive that if we have any chance, it would be that we would need to be in League One. And I do worry about the money. I know where everyone says footballers are not stupid. They know it's a short career. They know that the money they've got to earn for future. And as much as he would say, oh, I would come back to Swindon, money would matter massively. And I couldn't see him dropping a massive wage to come back in.
Rich, specifically on that point, because I am interested in your thoughts at this stage on whether he'll come back or not. The TalkSport interview where he mentioned about how far away Ipswich was and Norwich was, etc. We said he won't go to Bradford because it's too far north.
We'll move, by the way, just a point. We'll move. We're happy to. We'll move the ground. Everything. We don't own the ground. We're just on a rental agreement.
Your franchise, though, yeah?
Yeah, we will happily. I'll travel.
You stay up there.
The point I was going to make, Rich, is say worst comes to the worst and we're League Two again next year. Can you see a situation where the distance thing comes into conversation and he's lining up for Forest Green or Bristol Rovers?
No.
No.
No, just
that's a yes.
No, absolutely not. I think he knows where his heart lies, and I think he knows if he went to one of those clubs, he would get absolutely slated by the Swindon fans. I don't think Charlie Austin's stupid.
Definitely not.
I think he's. I think some of the actions he does are stupid, but no. But I think if you look at everything outside of his footballing career, he is an entrepreneur. So he's got other business ventures outside of football. So football is probably playing the least of his wages at the moment. He has got other things going on. Obviously, he's with TalkSport. He's got a horse. He's got everything. He don't need. I don't think he needs the money. I don't think his next move will be for money.
The horse doesn't feed itself, Rich.
He's got a good point.
Rich, they're shit horses as well. I've bet on a few of them.
Oh, yeah.
But didn't you also say you're going to bet on Bradford to walk the league next season or promote next season? You're not the best judge of character when it comes to betting. I can assure you of that.
I think now he's got to a point where he will go with his heart.
Okay.
And I'd like to think. I think some of the points that Craig made were very valid. So I'd like to see. I can see Charlie Austin getting out in a Swindon shirt next season,
okay,
whatever league we're in.
Nice.
So, but I would love to see him kitted up in the Swindon shirt in League One, though.
As all of us would. Ned?
For
Yeah.
yourself.
I absolutely echo everything Warren and Craig said. Absolutely everything. I can only see him signing in League One, which I won't say anything else. But if we don't make it into League One, as I just put in the chat, I think he's probably going to head off to. If he doesn't get a decent championship club, I think he'll head off to United States and earn some cash. I think it sounds a bit extreme. I can't see him drop into League One. Other than Swindon, I can't see him playing for a shitty championship team. He's not obviously going to go Premiership, and I think USA is a nice life. If his family are open to the idea, it's a good place to go to earn a bit of cash before you call it a day. Especially if you're.
It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Will he take the horse?
If you guys, I've got an ideal scenario. Got an ideal scenario for me, because you guys have all spoke about your ideal scenarios. My ideal scenario is you guys stay down. Charlie Austin signs for us, scores against you, runs the full length of the pitch, and 2 foots that ugly fucking bird mascot you've got square between the eyes, and then runs over and cuddles Billy Bantam and raises his arm as the supreme bird mascot.
I thought you were going to say, is he going to do an Adebayor to us?
No, he was always going to bring up the mascot.
Oh yeah, Jesus! He's not.
Guys, I haven't been to the last few home games. What the hell is that squirrel all about?
It's because
it's my sponsors
from off the back of on the black shirt. I think it's funny, but I think it's quite ironic though as well. The fact that obviously. McCurdy uses squirrel a lot in his posts, doesn't he? So
that's because that's the page of the colouring book he's on. Next week when he's got elephants next week to colour in.
I thought it was someone from a stag do jumping on the pitch, celebrating with
Warren stag do from the other week.
Warren stag do that's taken a fortnight to recover from.
Yeah, I have.
Listen, guys, I'm conscious of time and moving on. So, Woody, Ben, let's bring you in briefly. Woody first. Austin, yes, no?
Oh, well, I got to give the short answer after I've had to listen to all of that. If we're League One, we will sign him. He doesn't need the money. He won't take a massive cut, but he will be our highest paid player. But he won't be anywhere near the 10 grand a week. If we're not League One, I actually see him going to Wycombe because he's come out on TV and said he wants to stay kind of M4 corridor. He lives, Hungerford. So Wycombe would probably be ideal for him in League One. And they've just obviously taken Akinfenwa off their wage bill. So that's where I see him going. I think it'd be a great signing if we can get him, but not just for the fact of who he is, but also to show the intent that this ownership have got to bring back a player of that standard. We've already spoken before about whether we'd bring back Simpson, whether we'd bring back Davison. If we can bring all three of them in, that's a massive intent. So it's and I think it's achievable as well. I echo Liam's thoughts on Harry McCurdy. There will be a point where Harry McCurdy goes like that. I said it after his little social media debacles at the beginning of the season, where people would turn against him. I have to disagree with Rich. I do think Charlie Austin will come in and be a bit of a figurine for someone like McCurdy. Charlie Austin is a lot older now than what he was when he was with us, even a lot older than what his antics were.
I'm a lot older than when he was with us.
Yeah, he's a lot more experienced now. He's been there. He's been nearest the top highest level. He'll have a lot to offer our dressing room, especially the young players. So if we're in League One, yes. Unfortunately, I don't see it happening in League Two.
Okay.
But yeah.
Ben?
I think I echo a lot what Mark said. Actually, I agree with a lot what he said there. But I do think it's a League One clause in it as well. I think we will get quite a lot higher wages than we think because he will bring bums on seats, and there'll be a lot of number 32 shirts being sold.
And then a lot of angry people when he's wearing 10 or something.
Oh no, he'll be number 32. That'll be his number. And
what happens if that goes wrong though? for you there. You've just said there it'll bring bums on seats. What happens if you're not performing to the level you want to and those bums stop turning up?
Well, there you go. Our home form has not been great this season anyway. We've only won 9 at home, and we still had massive gates. But
We've
yeah,
got a massive wage bill,
that's what
Liam. We're just bringing somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, we found that loophole. Stop going.
Just take another embargo.
Loophole.
Yeah. Can you let us know what it is, please?
But yeah, no, I think there's a possibility of it. There's a serious possibility of it happening.
Daz sent in a second question. It's kind of looking at it the other way round. So we can, unless you've been focusing on sort of the stuff I've been retweeting, you wouldn't have had time to prep. So this might be single word answers. And Liam, I'd be interested in your thoughts on this as well. If at the end of the season, and he does go on to say when he gets a reply back that he's playing devil's advocate here, if at the end of the season our beloved Harry McCurdy is moved on or sold, etc., who would you like to replace him? And Daz actually offered his own option in terms of I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it because I'll get it wrong, but a striker currently at Buxton who he points out to me has got 27 goals and 14 assists, and we could get him for free. Mark, you are still here, so instant reaction. If McCurdy's gone, who would you like to replace him?
A very good question. Tyrese Simpson. Nice. I think if you're gonna spend the cash and get a youngster and reinvest, I think that's where you go. We'd have to pay a tribunal anyway to Ipswich, so I'd imagine if we're going to pay cash, we're going to need to sell somebody. And again, I think I pointed this out maybe a couple of months ago on Twitter. I mean, everyone was getting very rose tinted about the fact that we're now this new club, etc. But let's not forget, we're still a selling club. Every club outside the Premier League is pretty much a selling club. So sooner or later, we have to have assets that we can cash in on. To be able to be sustainable, which is what we all want, but also to help pay for future attempts at promotion in whichever league we're in. So if somebody came in now with McCurdy with a year left on his contract and said, I'll give you £750,000 for him, it's a done deal. Let's not beat around the bush. I know there's the interest from Hibernian. I think that's still doing the rounds up in Scotland, whether or not that actually,
again, similar to the Austin figure, I can't see him going that far north.
No, Charlton, I could see him going to Charlton. I think that would be a London club or somewhere closer to London, so he can still go and watch Chelsea play. I think that's a very realistic aim. Going to Scotland, no, I don't think that would happen. But I think that was the only sort of Millwall. Actually, I think was another club that's been mentioned.
Yeah,
why not? Let's be realistic. And is he replaceable? Absolutely. Every player is replaceable. They have been in the past, they will be in the future. So let's not. It's important not to fall in love with players, as we all know. But yes, what's not to say that Josh Davison and Tyrese Simpson couldn't be back next season? What's not to say that if we get promoted, that Louis Barry wouldn't want to come back and have another development year loan with us? If it did happen, it's not the end of the world.
Nice, Ben.
Again, echo Mark. Really, I think Tyrese Simpson, try and get what we can and get him through the door. We can always change formation again and go back 2 up top and go to a 5-man midfield. So there's plenty of options there. There is the option to replace. We also mustn't forget that Scott Twine's being sold this summer. I can't see how he's not going to get sold, and he's not going to get sold for millions. And we get 20% of that, so that will back a lot of the budget up this season next summer.
You hear that, Liam? That's how we're doing it.
Yeah,
other teams are selling our old players.
Scott Twine's being sold. We'll get 20% of that, and he's going for about 5 million. So that's £1 million in the bank. Thank you very much.
I've already told Fulham that they have to pay 50 for him. 50 million.
50 million. 50 million.
It's not negotiable.
No.
Yeah, but let's be fair. You already owe that. Like, that's owed somewhere else. That's not coming in and going into your budget. You owe that. You've got that going out. It's literally just passing through your bank. It ain't staying.
Craig, if McCurdy goes, anyone in particular you would like to see replace him?
Not that I can think of. I mean, if we could get, like Mark was saying, if we could get Simpson back in, Davison and Austin, that's a pretty good forward lineup, really, in League One. Yeah, I can't really think of anyone who would do a better job, really, who would be available and within our budget. So yeah, just I'll be happy with those 3.
Warren?
The only person that knows is Ben Chorley. He's just a magician, isn't he? He's got someone that none of us will even have a thought of on our radar. Do you know what I mean? He'll have someone up his sleeve. With the two, everyone going on about Simpson, I'd take Davison over Simpson if you offered me one of the two. I cannot see this thing with Simpson. I know he's raw, I know he's young, but for me, you put the two alongside each other. For me, Davison all day long. I think he's been very unsung, Davison. I think he's come in, he's done a decent job for us, holds the ball, but that's for another day. But if you're asking me someone to replace McCurdy, none of us know. Ben Chorley's got something up his sleeve if he did go, and that's how it'll work out.
Okay, Woody.
Jerome Sinclair, actually. Ned.
Jerome
Just
Sinclair.
come in. Sorry, Woody.
That's right. Who was it that submitted the question?
Daz Smith.
Yeah, I'm going to go on Daz Smith's approach, and I think we concentrate on maybe getting someone like you say, like Davison or Simpson, but we still need to recruit because we lose Louis Barry this season as well. And I'm going to go with Daz's approach and go for lower league, and we take a punt on Charlie Kendall from Eastbourne Borough, National League South.
Okay.
He's banged over 20 odd goals this year. I think he's about 21. What a player! Just concentrates on scoring goals. So let's take a punt on someone like that.
Nice.
Like we did with Charlie Austin.
Yeah. Rich?
Yeah, two players. Both from Newport. That Finn Azaz, he was unbelievable against Port Vale, the game on TV. And Dom Telford.
Well, I wondered when Telford's name was going to get mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, he's an out-and-out goal scorer. He's scored so many goals for Newport this season. Why the hell not? You know? Yeah, I think those two players would be absolute magic in the team that would.
Sorry, chaps, I've got to exit. My little one's awake, so thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on, Mark. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for coming on, Mark. Nice one.
Bye now. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
I think it's certainly a valid point, and I know Ned's been licking his lips waiting for me to ask this question. So, Liam, before we come to Ned, from what you've seen of other clubs in the league, if we were to lose McCurdy, is there a player that springs to mind that would be an automatic replacement?
Not from this league. I've got someone who is going to be snapped up this year. He dropped to the National League on what you can tell was the hope that the team he was going to were going to win the National League. He went to Chesterfield. Someone's going to take Shamanga from Chesterfield this summer. If you guys lose McCurdy, you should go all out. I think he's got a broken leg at the minute, so he's recovering from that. But if I look at his stats here,
blueprint then.
Yeah, but I mean, do you know what I mean? Like you look at his stats: 27 games this season, he's played for them, 24 goals. Someone's going to take him. It doesn't matter. Someone is going to take him out of the National League this year because Chesterfield aren't coming up and he's not going to stick around. Yeah, that's if it ain't you, I want us to go for him, and I think every club in this league should be looking at him. But if you lose McCurdy and you're not going to get Austin, then yeah, you need to. That's a nailed on win for anyone who signs him.
It's either that or we take Paul Mullen back, innit?
Yeah, or Mullen, yeah. but I think you look at that, Mullen, Wrexham, and Chester and Stockport are going to be coming up most likely. So you've got to pick through what's left, and I think that someone's going to take Halifax as manager. I think he'll go. I think he'll come out of the Football League, but I think Shamanga's going to be the player that everyone tries to steal. Hopefully us, but yeah, if you're looking for a player, you're going to lose McCurdy. You want those numbers in your team.
Ned, you've been eagerly waiting.
Oh, good times. No, I've obviously, as you can imagine, I've made a little shopping list here.
You have?
So obviously,
wait, before we say, how many of these are going to be from Oldham?
None.
Oh, that makes a change.
So you're not going from Mike Fondop?
No, as glowing as a review as you had before.
I still have. He's not. Do you know what? He's not played again. Devastated.
Right. So I would go all out, put some money towards purchasing Luke Armstrong from Harrogate. So I think in a good team, he'll be awesome. I think he's a really good target man. Also, I'll take a punt on Carl Hudlin as a backup target man. Oh, okay. Deep breath from Liam there. What was that?
It was no. I thought of another player.
Oh, okay.
Because you said Armstrong and he went to Harrogate. Obviously, he was at Hartlepool previous.
All right.
He's wasted at Harrogate. For me, the Hartlepool thing triggered. Luke Molyneux is another one.
Yeah, he's mentioned before.
He's on my bloody list. You piece of.
Oh, sorry.
It's like Ben the Second, honestly.
I mean, if you know what I mean, I think you're forgetting that none of us are psychic, and you've shown none of us this list. So I apologise that I'm not sat next to you.
Unfortunately, Ned also has a knack of being interrupted primarily by Ben, who then steals his point entirely.
Can we, Ben? Let's think of some more that are going to be on his list.
I'm not sure if he's had a club arranged, but I would say Callum Cook as well from Bradford, because I really like him.
You can have him.
Well, there we go.
Do you know what? No, he's a very, very, very good player. He does not want to play for us. The only thing I will say to you about him, he is a moody bastard. So
but equally though, because I did very briefly get to go onto your live Twitter space the other day, you were also talking about another forward who didn't want to play for you and then was at Swindon and did very well.
Yeah, but that's no, we don't need to bring him up. Do you know why we don't need to bring him up? I don't know the reason, but we don't need to bring him up because
we're fucking massive.
We love Pele.
Oh, the Ginger Pele. I've never seen anyone get away with just stealing a wage like he did with us when he came back and was just, I'm just going to kick this ball into the stands. And when I've done it 25 times into the goal for Swindon this season already with my eyes closed, I'm going to miss this open goal and put it out for a throw-in. Thanks for the $4,000 a week. Oh, I'm going to go back to fuck off.
He was trying to drive a transfer there, wasn't he? Sorry, Ned.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, don't worry.
He's trying to drive a transfer.
Owen Doyle's on his list as well. This is where we find out.
No. You're safe for that one. But obviously, Louis Barry going back. If we went up to League One, he'd come back brilliant. If he didn't, I'd like to see us get Nicky Cadden to replace him, because I think he's flipping special, and not in the derogatory way. But if we was to spend money on a replacement,
he hates our fans now. We gave him so much shit at their place, and we gave him so much shit at our place too. Yeah. No,
well, but the type of player I'd love to see us sign is Randall Williams. You know, the former Exeter player, signed for Hull at the start of the season. I'd really like to see us get Randall Williams.
Okay, certainly some interesting names there, Ned. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gents, I'm very conscious of how long we've already been recorded. There are other stuff that I would have liked to have spoken about. However, we are doing a second show later this week, so maybe I'll save one or two topics for then. So unless there's anything else anyone wants to bring up this evening. No,
I've eaten 4 kebabs and a bag of midget gems while we've done this tonight. I've been like a ninja. No one even saw me.
In which case, I'd like to thank Mark, who was on, and Kieran, who briefly popped on as well. Liam, always a pleasure having you on. Don't be a stranger. And even when we do go up to League One, you're more than welcome just to come and have a chat whenever you like.
I'll let you know how McCurdy's doing next season. When he's
Ben,
for us.
Ben, thank you very much as always for your contribution. Craig as well, thank you. Yeah. Warren, always good to see you. Rich, Woody, superb as always. Ned, thank you for joining as well. From everyone here at Fools Rush In, until later this week for episode 2. Goodbye.